What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So this is my after hours equivalent type of video. There's still roughly about 29 minutes left in the trading day, but it is down 2.6%, 291 the low, 307 the high, and you're seeing very low volume in Lucid's case. So 84 million shares being traded, 170 is the average. Of that 84 mil for the volume, a lot of that is algorithmic trading. So I think just the broader market is getting artificially suppressed, because even if you look at the secondary market and dark pool, it just doesn't really jive with the overall volume. Getting right to it though, ultimately why there is that certain level of suppression is because of this. So we did have some key data that came out early this morning. Initial jobless claims came in at 217 versus 225 the forecast, which is relatively good. But one thing that did spark a little bit of fear in the market was manufacturing data. No different than on Tuesday when Richmond did unveil their manufacturing data. It was a little bit kind of worse for wear. All of this data is essentially from July, so that does encumber tariffs, and that was going to be one of those things that spooks the market. So manufacturing data, S&P Global one came in at 49.5, forecast of 52.7, previous was 52. So the market was actually optimistic about that data, but kind of went the polar opposite. One big thing to pay attention to though is 50. So 50 is a key pivot for that. Anything below 50 shows more of a contraction. Anything above 50 shows a kind of an expansion occurring. So I think at the end of the day, this might be just a one-off type of report, but nonetheless, it was enough to really spook the broader market. No official news from Lucid, no SEC filings or anything like that. There was a couple things I do want to go over and just kind of talk about. So one thing was this right here. So Lucid signs tire supply deal with Pirelli, and I think that's good. But I think a lot of these types of deals have been coming out from Saudi Arabia, and so I think just Lucid itself just has not really been maybe finding it advantageous to put out this type of news. So I feel like a lot of the news that they put out that we see on mainstream media is correlated with the AMP1 type of thing. So I think I know I've complained in my earlier video about their marketing. They definitely need to align everything. Even essentially us as Lucid investors, whatever benefits AMP1 or AMP2, I get it that Lucid is an American company, but anything that comes associated to AMP2 that's still good, they need to really put that out in news form, not just this kind of whatever this is, which on a side note, I know this Claudio individual probably did not want to do this article because he is very bearish on Lucid, as I've brought up in the past, but nonetheless, I think this is a good thing. Is this a reason to go out and buy Lucid? Is this a catalyst? Not so much. It's just a good FYI. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Want to give a shout out to Joshua. He's the one that actually found this. So thank you, Joshua. The only other thing I want to bring up that is very speculative in nature, so haven't really seen any flyovers to confirm this, but there was this. So earlier today, I kind of posted just saying that it's a tough day for Lucid, which it generally was. But you see this Kevin individual, so just drove by the plant again yesterday. Huge movement happening. I think they may even be building another plant next to it. So essentially, just in case you do not know, AMP1 is massive, but Lucid does also own/lease. So there's 3 different plots of land around that general area. 2 of which that Lucid does own, 1 that Lucid does lease. 1 was, I think, originally intended for the ESS, so the second kind of variation of that never really came to fruition that we know of. Fingers crossed, hopefully they give us updates, but nonetheless, I don't know if anyone's in the general area like Kevin that does drive past it. Let me know if you see anything being developed, because if they somehow, I know coming from a cost standpoint to build another facility might be daunting, but if they can move up like the midsize for whatever reason, I think it might be advantageous. So let me know your thoughts on this. Again, this is just word of mouth, so do your own due diligence and don't buy based on this. But One thing that is really kind of pushing some of the market higher in the second half of today is this. So Trump signing that executive order associated to AI. So this is really pushing a lot of stocks. And there was one thing that really started to push Lucid higher, this right here. And it all started because of this, a $12.4 million buy. That was at 308. And if we kind of look at the time, it was done at 1540, so exactly at the bottom. This is why I always like to look at what happens behind the scenes, and again, kind of shows that algorithmic trading saw a abnormal buy and figures something is up. So again, that is why you are seeing this kind of barcode action as it moves higher. So algorithmic trading is signaling that something might be coming. But I don't know, what's your viewpoint on this large $12.4 million transaction? Aside from that, on the secondary market, you regrettably are seeing a lot of selling. Couple buys right here, so 138,000, 101, 138.5, but everything else for the most part is a sell. You even do have a big sell right here, 2.28 million. That's what really pushed Lucid down for whatever reason. Why these institutions are selling, I'm sure it has to do with Tesla, because whatever happens to Tesla, good, bad, and the ugly, does trickle down to other EVs. I was relatively optimistic about this Tesla earnings, that Lucid would be able to escape some of the negatives, but regrettably, I guess not. Aside from that though, looking at the shorts, they are returning 6 million shares. So for those of you, again, that watch my video every day, they returned a significant amount yesterday. So yesterday as well as today. So by shorts returning this magnitude, it kind of shows that today's pullback is not justified. Cost to borrow average kind of in line with what it has been, so 9.16%. Utilization is 93.68. So what's your viewpoint? Do you think that shorts realized that they were overextended, that's why they're returning, or do you think that they're returning just to kind of double down? One thing to take note of though is that briefly there was not really that many shares available to be shorted, and even if you look here yesterday, because under my other channel, Financial Journey, I did a video top 5 most heavily shorted EV stocks, and ours truly, Lucid, was number 1. There wasn't that much available shares, so maybe that is why shorts are freeing up some room. So again, there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, so let me know your general thoughts on that. Moving over to the options, 2.87 million in calls, 1.25 million in puts, so kind of low dollar value in comparison to what it has been recently. But on a positive note, 46% of all the options being done today are bullish in nature. So again, this is exactly why I like to look at a lot of the data points, because even though it's a red day, not just with Lucid, but a lot of stocks, a lot of the data so far that I'm bringing up is relatively optimistic. From the bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of around that 3 to 350. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 3. Keep in mind, tomorrow is Friday, so this is the open interest. So for whatever reason, if Lucid is able to close above 350, you'll have a huge bump up, because there's 50,000 in open interest at that 350, 24,000 at that 3, 9,000 at that 250. So again, that's just some elements to kind of watch for. Shorts might be getting a little bit active as well. If Lucid is kind of lingering around that 3 or 350 tomorrow, they might kind of step up and just try to suppress it. Aside from all that fun stuff though, with it right now at $3, there's about 20 minutes left in the trading day. It is trading between this S1 and this S2, so 304 is going to be that key pivot. Ideally, best case scenario, it does close above that. Flip side, 297, and then 287 is going to be the next strong support levels. But this is all stuff I kind of brought up in my earlier video. Aside from all that fun stuff, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings, no articles, or anything like that, unless it comes out, of course, after this video. But aside from that though, there was one new analyst rating, and interestingly enough, it was Bank of America. So John Murphy, I don't know what happened to him, maybe they kicked him off, but this new analyst right here, who does have a 100% success rating, 2 out of 2, mind you, but they gave a sell position, no price target, so it is fair to assume that they did reiterate their old one. So Bank of America, John Murphy, did give a $1 price target. So maybe some stuff is happening behind the scenes with Bank of America from a analyst standpoint, but nonetheless, no new articles. or anything along those lines. As far as on the actual chart, it is slightly below the ALMA. So that is sitting at 301. So that's going to be kind of something that you want to watch for. But aside from that, it is still essentially doing pretty a-okay. You're going to see some various consolidation over the next little bit, and that overall is healthy. Right now it is above all the key pivotal moving averages that I generally like to look at. So the 50, 100, 200. Stochastic RSI is arguably a little bit overbought still. So again, first sign of negative data, whether it be specific to Lucid or the broader market, you could see some volatility. And this is why you are seeing kind of Lucid move lower, because of Tesla earnings, as well as the data that did come out. So let me know your thoughts on all of this. I know I kind of talked on quite a few different things. Do you think that Lucid is working on other facilities behind the scenes, building them? What's your viewpoint on this news? This supply deal, of course, Saudi Arabia only. Do you think that this is the type of stuff that Lucid should be putting out as far as news? Or what's your kind of general thoughts? And I'm not going to bother wasting your time going over the top questions. I think it's kind of a write-off. Hopefully things do change in the next week. I'll give you guys updates if something does happen. But for face value, if you have some spare time and you want a good laugh, just go listen to read a lot of the questions being posed by retail to management. So let me know your thoughts on all of that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I do give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.